Hey Fadigans customers, many of you don't know me. My name is Becky. I'm a fourth generation Fadigan. I'm here with my dad, Bob Graves. A lot of you may recognize his face. He's one of the owner and operators of Fadigans. And I am home, like many of you out there, with two kiddos. And we've been racking our brains on how we can help you get outside with your kids, learn a little bit about horticulture. There's a dog licking my phone right now. And so we put together an outdoor scavenger hunt for you. My kids went out and found a bunch of stuff that we think you can find around your home, in a park, perhaps on the bike path if you live near that. So we're going to give you one thing each day, and then my dad, Bob, is going to tell you a little bit about that. So the first thing we want you guys to go out and find is a conifer, which we will post a picture of. And I have a couple questions I'm just going to read to Dad, and he's going to answer those for you. So, Bob, what is a conifer?
A conifer refers to a tree that has needles and that has cones. It may be an evergreen. Most of them are evergreens, but they're not all evergreens. And they're defined by the fact that they have needles and they have cones. And you're most familiar with things like pines, spruces, firs, yews, hemlocks. Those are the most common ones in our area. And there's lots of different types of pines, and there's lots of different types of spruces and firs. And we're going to talk a little bit about what makes them, or how you can identify what they might be. A pine has multiple needles coming out of the same spot on the branch. So if I hold this up for you, this is a pine. This is a white pine, which is a native to our area, and I'm sure you have those somewhere in your area. There's multiple needles coming out of it. They're longer, they're soft. The white pine wood is very valuable as a timber product. It's used in construction and building and furniture and that sort of thing. Very common in this area, the white pine. Now, there are also very many spruces. Spruces look a little different. They don't have multiple needles coming out of the same spot on the branch. They are evergreen, they do have cones. The needles are usually shorter. They might be a little bit prickly. There's lots of different types. We're most familiar with Colorado blue spruce. This happens to be a green Norway spruce. There's a bunch of different types, but they're all similar in that they're evergreen. They have cones. They're very often pyramidal in shape. And they're fairly easy to find. If they're kind of sticky and sharp when you touch them, that's often a spruce. Now, another common one in this area is a fir. And there's a bunch of different kinds of firs, and they look a lot like a spruce. Oftentimes, their needles are maybe a little bit longer. They might be a little bit softer. And the interesting thing is, on the back of them, they usually have a couple of white lines, which the spruce doesn't have. Now, this happens to be a Nico fir, Douglas fir, Nico fir. There's a bunch of different types of firs, often more common in wilderness mountain areas where you might see them. Now, there are several other ones that you might see around the house too. This is a hemlock, short needle, not as spiky, a little white on the bottom, maybe a little bit of color on the back of the needle, but it has cones and it's an evergreen, shorter needle. But it's not a spruce. Now, we talked about how all of them have cones. This is a big cone. This is a spruce cone. We just saw the hemlock cone. That's a little cone. So they all have cones. The cones hide their seeds, protect their seeds. The cones usually don't open up until the weather gets warm. Some cones, like in the pine bush, need fire. The seeds don't drop out of this unless they experience fire. That's why fire is a good management tool in some types of forested areas. Well, that's a little unique with evergreens, that some of them might need that in order to get their seeds to release. Now, one other one I wanted to show you, an awful lot of you have this. This is a yew. This is a shrub. It's not really a tree unless it's very, very old. And look at the cones on that. They look almost like berries. They're very little, but that's still a cone. And you have these often around your house. Now, we talked about how conifers have needles, and they're mostly evergreen. Not all conifers are evergreen. There's things like larch that lose their needles. They have needles, they have cones, but they lose them. So they're a conifer, but they lose their needles. There's also evergreens that are not needled. They have broad-leafed evergreens, and we call those mostly ericaceous plants, which is a big word, but the one you're most familiar with is rhododendron. I'll show you a rhododendron. This is your rhododendron. Now it's an evergreen, but it's not needled. So you can have evergreens that are needled, and you can have evergreens that are deciduous. Deciduous evergreen loses its leaves, loses its needles. And the difference between all of these and deciduous trees, like your maples and your ash and your oaks, those all lose their leaves. They're not evergreen. But there are some evergreens that are not conifers.
Wow, that was a lot of information I didn't even know, and I grew up with this guy. So I hope you guys found that really interesting. I challenge you and your kids all to go out and see what kind of evergreens you can find in your area. And I'll tell you this too, if you guys have questions for Bob, post them in the comments, and I promise we'll get back to as many of you as we can, as quickly as we can. And stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll give you something else to hunt for and a little bit more information. Thanks, guys. Bye.